This is Mr. Flores, and you're watching Finding Ithaca. Alright, here we go. Just barely. Alright.
So next time you guys are learning about the Odyssey in English class, why don't you show this video to your teacher and tell her you're done.
On the day of his wedding, everyone was there, including Peter. He could hardly wait to show Liza the house that he had built for her. The wedding feast, he glanced over at his mother. He noticed that for the first time, how gray her hair had become. She seemed to be aging so quickly. Peter felt a pang of guilt, for he had pulled the thread so often. Henceforth, he would only pull it when absolutely necessary. A few months later, Liza announced she was going to have a child. Peter was overjoyed and could hardly wait. When the child was born, he felt he would never want for anything again. But whenever the child was sick or couldn't sleep, he gave the thread a little tug so that the baby might be well again. His mother was looking older and more tired every day. It was no use to pull the magic thread, for that would only hasten her approaching death. All too soon, she died. And as Peter stood at her graveside, he wondered how it was that life had passed by so quickly, even without pulling the thread. One night, as he lay in bed, kept awake by his worries, he thought about how much easier life would be if all of his children were grown. So he gave the thread a mighty tug, and the following day he awoke to find that his children had left home. Often his back and his limbs ached. His hair was almost white now. Liza, too, was getting old, and she was often ill. He couldn't bear to see her suffer, that he resorted to pulling the magic thread, but as soon as one trouble was solved, another seemed to grow in its place. He picked up his magic ball and looked at it. The thread was no longer silver, but gray and lusterless. He decided to go for a walk in the forest to think things over. It had been a long time since he'd been in that part of the forest. He sat down to rest, and he fell into a light sleep. He was awoken by someone calling his name. Peter! Peter! He looked up and saw the old woman he had seen so many years ago. She looked just as she had that day, not a day older, and she smiled. "So, Peter, have you had a good life?" she asked. "I'm not sure," Peter said. "Your magic ball has been a wonderful thing. I've never had to suffer or wait for anything in my whole life. And yet, it has all passed by so quickly. I feel that I've had no time to take in the things that have happened to me, neither the good things or the bad. And now there's so little time left. I dare not pull the thread, for it will only bring me to my death." "How ungrateful you are," the woman said. "In what way do you wish things could have been different?" "Perhaps if you had given me a different ball, one where I could have pushed the thread back in again, as well as pulling it out. Then I could have relived the things that went badly." The woman laughed. "You ask a great deal. Do you think that God allows us to live our lives twice over? But I can grant you one final wish. Choose," the woman said. "I should like to live my life again, as if for the first time, but without your magic ball." "So be it. Give me back my ball," said the old woman. He sat back. He closed his eyes with exhaustion. When he awoke, he was in his bed. His youthful mother was bending over him, shaking him gently. "Peter, wake up, Peter. You'll be late for school. You were sleeping like the dead." He looked up at her in surprise and disbelief. "Mother, I've had a terrible dream. I dreamed I was old and sick, and my life passed by like the blinking of an eye. That will never happen. Memories are the one thing we have that even when we're old. Now hurry up and get dressed. Liza's waiting for you, and you'll be late for school." As Peter walked to school with Liza, he noticed what a bright summer morning it was. The kind of morning where it felt good to be alive. Soon he would see his friends and his classmates, and even the prospect of lessons didn't seem so bad. In fact, he could hardly wait.